So again, you have to get the visa to get out of the country. And actually in 75, I played Wimbledon and my family came. The whole family was out of the country.
Sobrang di ko pa mapaniwala. Maraming salamat sa suporta. Sana patuloy yung suporta niyo sa akin. Kamusta mga kapang Pinoy? Surprise! Excited na akong imbitahin kayong lahat na manood sa mga laban ko sa Mubadala Abu Dhabi Open.
Tennis world explodes as Martina Navratilova calls out racism, sparking an international incident after Filipino sensation Alex Eala is treated like a second-class citizen, while thousands of her fans are crammed into unsafe conditions. The drama escalates when a defending champion nearly collapses on court in what looked more like a medical emergency than a match. This isn't just tennis news, this is a reckoning. Navratilova, never afraid to speak truth to power, publicly confronted the Australian Open organizers, questioning why racism is still tolerated in the sport. The International Tennis Federation is watching closely as the treatment of Eala has escalated from whispered complaints to a full-blown crisis. Eala, a global phenomenon and the pride of the Philippines, represents the future of Asian tennis, and the chaos surrounding her has exposed the failures of the old guard, threatening to reshape how rising stars are treated forever. Forget everything you think you know about gentle tennis etiquette. The past week in Melbourne and Manila has torn that facade to shreds, forcing the sport to confront disrespect, survival, and the urgent question that is now trending worldwide: why the racism? Eala brings what tennis administrators have struggled to achieve for decades: eyeballs, passion, sold-out crowds, and viral moments, exactly what the sport needs as it tries to expand beyond its traditional Western European and North American strongholds. Yet, the Australian Open organizers buried this rising superstar by scheduling her match on Court 6, a secondary venue barely adequate for a player of her stature. For those unfamiliar with Melbourne Park, Court 6 is cramped, with limited seating, poor sightlines, and infrastructure that cannot handle the kind of crowds Eala draws. And draw them she did. Thousands of Filipino fans, many traveling from across Australia and even the Philippines, descended on Court 6, draped in national colors, waving flags, chanting, and singing. The atmosphere was simultaneously beautiful and terrifying. Beautiful because it showcased the genuine passion Eala inspires, terrifying because the court was never designed for such numbers. Fans were packed shoulder to shoulder, walkways were clogged, and people climbed over barriers, squeezing into spaces never meant for them. It was a safety disaster waiting to happen, and yet the organizers seemed unprepared for the very phenomenon they had booked. Meanwhile, dignitaries sipped champagne in the shade of premium hospitality suites, seemingly oblivious or indifferent to the chaos unfolding on the outer courts. That stark contrast has burned itself into the minds of tennis fans worldwide. While corporate sponsors enjoyed air-conditioned comfort, the actual fans, the ones who buy tickets, merchandise, and keep the sport alive, were treated like cattle. Martina Navratilova saw this and refused to stay silent. The Czech-American legend has never shied away from calling out injustice, whether on issues of gender, LGBTQ rights, or, now, what she perceives as racial and cultural disrespect. She didn't mince words or hide behind corporate diplomacy. Her criticism went straight to the heart of systemic blindness. This wasn't just about a scheduling mistake, it was about an establishment that still clings to an outdated mental map of who matters in tennis and where the sport matters. Navratilova's unspoken question was clear. Would a rising star from a Western nation, like Coco Gauff or Emma Raducanu, ever have been relegated to Court 6? The answer, if we're honest, is almost certainly no. Schedulers would have recognized the commercial and sporting value of a rising Western star and acted accordingly. But when it comes to Asian players, there seems to be a lag, a hesitation, a refusal to acknowledge their drawing power until multiple major titles are already in hand. The evidence is undeniable. This isn't necessarily about individual malice or conscious racism, it's about institutional inertia and unconscious bias, about decision-makers who still view Asian markets as secondary, emerging, or less important than traditional power centers. In 2026, that attitude is not just outdated, it's dangerous for the future of the sport. The Filipino tennis community has given the Australian Tennis Federation a 24-hour ultimatum, not 24 days, to explain themselves. And this is serious. The ITF, the International Tennis Federation, is watching closely. If the Australian Open is found to have violated protocols on player treatment, fan safety, or discriminatory practices, the consequences could be severe, ranging from sanctions to the potential loss of Grand Slam status for specific events, along with a public relations disaster that could haunt the tournament for years. The Australian Tennis Federation's initial response followed the standard corporate playbook: express regret, promise procedural reviews, and claim it was an unfortunate oversight. But fans aren't buying it. The Filipino community isn't buying it. And most importantly, voices like Navratilova's are ensuring this issue won't vanish with the next news cycle. The timing makes it even more explosive, as tennis finds itself at a crossroads. Tennis is desperately trying to grow its footprint in Asia, recognizing that the future of the sport lies in markets like China, Japan, India, and Southeast Asia. Tournaments have invested heavily in Asian expansion, the WTA has added events, prize money has increased, and there's been constant talk of diversity and inclusion. But talk is cheap. When it truly mattered, when there was a real opportunity to show respect to an Asian star and her fans, the Australian Open fumbled catastrophically. The optics were disastrous. Social media amplified the story far beyond any traditional news cycle. Videos of overcrowding went viral, images of Filipino fans squeezed into inadequate spaces while empty seats remained on show courts were shared millions of times, and hashtags demanding answers began trending. This story wasn't going away quietly. Yet while the suits in Melbourne scrambled with press releases, fielded angry calls from the ITF, and endured Navratilova's worldwide criticism, Alex Eala herself did what champions do: she kept winning. Flying back home to the Philippines, she participated in something historic: the inaugural Philippine Women's Open, a WTA 125 tournament marking a new era for Southeast Asian tennis. If the Australian Open refused to give her the center stage she deserved, the Philippines certainly did. This was pure cinema. Fresh off the heartbreak and disrespect of Melbourne, Alex Eala stepped onto the court at the iconic Rizal Memorial Sports Complex not as a victim, but as a conquering hero. The reception she received was unlike anything tennis has seen in recent memory. Thousands of fans packed the stadium, their energy electric, their applause raw and unbridled. This was a nation embracing its daughter. Her opponent, Alina Kuriva, a Russian player, carried a psychological edge, having defeated Eala in straight sets back in 2020, a lingering reminder of Ella's junior days. But the Alex Eala of 2026 was an entirely different proposition. Faster, stronger, more mature, and most importantly, fueled by anger. From the very first ball, the difference was palpable. Eala wasn't just playing to win, she was playing to make a statement, to erase the memory of past defeat, and to send a message to everyone who had doubted, disrespected, or underestimated her. And she delivered with ruthless efficiency, storming to a commanding 6-1, 6-2 victory in just 1 hour and 16 minutes. It wasn't even close. Close? No, it was a demolition. Eala dictated play from the baseline, her forehand cracking like a whip, her movement sharp and aggressive. She broke Kuriva in the fourth game of the first set, then again in the sixth, taking the set with authority that left no doubt who was in control. The crowd went absolutely wild. Every point Eala won was celebrated like a championship point, the noise deafening. This is what tennis should be: the passion, the emotion, the connection between player and fan that makes sport transcendent. And yet, the Australian Open schedulers had tried to hide this in a cramped secondary court half a world away. In the second set, though, the ghosts of the past tried to intervene. Kuriva, perhaps desperate or catching a hot streak, broke Eala early to jump out to a 2-0 lead. The crowd gasped. Was the pressure of playing at home too much? Was the toll of international travel catching up to her? For a brief flicker, it seemed the script might flip. But champions don't fold, they adapt. Eala called for a medical timeout, a savvy tactical move that allowed her to reset both physically and mentally. Some observers wondered if she was truly injured or if she had just bought herself the moment she needed to regain control. Gamesmanship. It doesn't matter. It was legal, it was smart, and it worked. When Eala returned to the court, she was a woman possessed. What happened next was extraordinary. She reeled off 5 consecutive games, breaking Kuriva's serve repeatedly and shattering her spirit along the way. The Russian had no answers. Every strategy Eala countered, every weapon she deployed, Eala neutralized. By the time she closed out the match, Kuriva looked shell-shocked, like someone hit by a truck. Afterward, with the crowd still roaring, Eala gave an interview that became instantly iconic in the Philippines. Yenong labong Pinoy DBA. I don't know where it comes from, it's just natural, she said, which translates to, that's the Filipino fight, right? I mean, I don't know where it comes from, and it's just natural. The quote resonated immediately: its pride, identity, and a declaration that she isn't just playing for herself, but for an entire nation. Within hours, it was on t-shirts, social media, and memes, capturing the essence of what Eala represents to the Philippines. Hope, excellence, and the unbreakable fighting spirit Filipinos are known for worldwide. The stats tell the story of complete dominance. Eala finished with a 77% first-serve win rate, 21 winners to Kariva's 14, fewer unforced errors, and more than 70% of total points won. This wasn't luck, it was a masterclass. And the message was crystal clear. If the Australian Open wouldn't respect her, Manila would. If they wouldn't put her on show courts, she would build her own stage, bring her fans, and prove the mistake they made. The Philippine Women's Open is more than a tournament, it's a statement about the future of Asian tennis. For decades, the Philippines has been a basketball nation. Tennis was always niche, elite, and peripheral, but Eala is changing that narrative. Alex Eala is capturing the nation's imagination. She's making tennis cool, accessible, and inspiring a generation of young Filipinos to pick up rackets instead of basketballs. The WTA recognizes this impact, which is why they sanctioned the Philippine Women's Open and are investing in the region. The future of women's tennis isn't just in Eastern Europe or North America anymore, it's in Asia, and Eala is leading the charge. Not all Filipino players found success in the first round. Teniel Midis and Elizabeth Abarcu fell, disappointing the home crowds. But that only heightened the pressure on Eala, and she responded brilliantly. Now the flag bearer and the sole Filipino advancing to the second round, she is set to face the winner of the match between Nao Habino and Jimeno Saketsam, carrying the hopes and expectations of an entire nation. The expectations on Eala are enormous, but if her first-round performance is any indication, she is more than ready to carry that weight. This wasn't just a victory, it was a statement, a massacre dressed in tennis whites. The final score read 6-3, 6-4, but those numbers barely capture the psychological dominance she displayed. Madison Keys, the defending champion known for her explosive power and aggressive baseline game, was rendered impotent. Eala's game plan was flawless. She absorbed Keys' pace, redirected the ball with surgical precision, and forced her into a spiral of unforced errors. Keys tried to blast winners, Eala sent them back. Keys tried to out-hit her, Eala out-thought her. It was a tactical masterclass, proving that in modern tennis, brains can absolutely beat brawn. What made it even more painful for Keys was that she could see it coming and couldn't stop it. The two had practiced together countless times and even discussed strategy on their podcast. Yet knowing Eala's patterns was no match for her execution on the day. She didn't drop a set, and her dominance was total, setting the tone for the rest of the tournament. Eala advanced to the quarterfinals looking like a player on a mission, and the ruthlessness with which she dispatched her best friend serves as a warning to everyone else in the draw. Jessica Pagula is here to win, and she doesn't care whose feelings get hurt in the process. After the match, both players handled it with class, hugging at the net and exchanging words of encouragement, but the pain in Keys' eyes was visible. Losing at a Grand Slam always hurts. Losing to your best friend hurts even more, especially knowing you'll share meals, hotel rooms, or even record podcasts together while processing the defeat. For Pagula, the win cements her status as one of the most consistent players on tour. Critics often point to her lack of the big weapons of others. She doesn't have Swiatek's forehand or Sabalenka's serve, but what she does have is a high tennis IQ, exceptional court coverage, and mental toughness that refuses to crack. Those qualities carried her through and could very well carry her all the way to the title. The women's quarterfinals are shaping up beautifully, with power players, tacticians, veterans, and young stars all colliding. The level of tennis has been exceptional, and the drama evidenced by the Pagula-Keys match has been off the charts. When we step back, the chaos is staggering. An Australian Open engulfed in accusations of racism and incompetence regarding Eala's treatment, Martina Navratilova demanding accountability and ITF scrutiny, Alex Eala rising from the ashes of disrespect to dominate in Manila, Jannik Sinner surviving a near collapse from extreme heat, Taylor Fritz battling through debilitating injuries, Lorenzo Musetti reaching new career highs while coping with separation from his newborn, Novak Djokovic benefiting from favorable breaks while rivals destroy each other, and Jessica Pagula proving that in professional sports, there are no friends across the net. This is tennis in 2026. This is the reality. Beneath the polite veneer of professional tennis, this is what happens when money, national pride, physical limits, and personal ambition collide in the pressure cooker of a Grand Slam. The question now is, what happens next? Will the Australian Tennis Federation respond adequately to the ultimatum regarding Alex Eala's treatment? Will they acknowledge their failures and commit to meaningful change, Or will they issue another toothless corporate apology and hope the story fades? The Filipino tennis community isn't backing down. Martina Navratilova isn't backing down. The eyes of the ITF are watching. This could genuinely lead to policy changes that reshape how Grand Slam schedule matches and allocate court space for decades to come.
Best moment, I think, was the happiest I've ever been was winning first Wimbledon. But again, my family wasn't there. We couldn't share it. I didn't even know if my...
Alex, after a terrific year last year, how does it feel to be making your main draw debut at Melbourne?
It feels great. I'm super excited. Coming